From the control tower, it looked like any other night departure. Smooth rotation, steady climb, navigation lights blinking against the darkness. The runway lights faded beneath the wings as the aircraft rose into the black sky, carrying 187 passengers who expected no thing more than a quiet overnight flight. Inside the cabin, most people were half asleep. Blankets were pulled tight. Headphones hummed softly. A child pressed his face against the window, watching the city lights shrink into glowing dots. In the cockpit, Captain Daniel Reeves checked his instruments calmly. Weather was clear, air traffic was light. The jet climbed smoothly through 20,000 feet, engines purring like clockwork. "Best kind of flight," the co-pilot said. "The boring ones." Reeves smiled faintly. "Let's keep it that way." No one noticed the first radar anomaly. Hundreds of miles away, inside a reinforced military command center, a junior radar officer leaned closer to his screen. A faint blip flickered near the civilian flight path, then vanished. "Probably interference," someone muttered. But the blip came back, stronger. At 34,000 feet, the cabin lights dimmed. A flight attendant moved quietly down the aisle, careful not to wake sleeping passengers. The plane cruised peacefully through open sky. Then, boom! The aircraft shuddered violently, as if something massive had slammed into it. Overhead, bins burst open. Luggage rained down. A woman screamed as the jet dropped sharply, gravity vanishing for a terrifying second. Oxygen masks fell from the ceiling. The calm hum of engines turned into an angry roar. In the cockpit, warning alarms exploded into sound. "Engine 2, pressure loss," the co-pilot yelled. "What the hell was that?" Reeves shouted, gripping the controls as the aircraft rolled left. The jet stabilized, but barely. Outside, pieces of metal and burning fragments drifted past the windows. "This wasn't turbulence," Reeves said. His voice was tight now. "We were hit." "By what?" the co-pilot asked. Reeves didn't answer. He was staring at the radar. There was nothing there. In the cabin, panic spread fast. People cried out. Some prayed. Others clutched armrests with white-knuckled hands. A flight attendant tried to speak, her voice shaking as she called for calm. We've had a technical issue. Please remain seated." Another violent jolt cut her off. A man near the back shouted, "Are we going down?" No one answered him. Back in the cockpit, Reeves flipped emergency switches with practiced speed. He radioed air traffic control. "Mayday, mayday, this is civilian flight 417. We've suffered a mid-air impact at 34,000 feet. Request immediate assistance." Static answered him. Then another voice broke through the channel. Not panicked, not rushed. Cold, calm, and controlled. "Civilian flight 417, this is Phoenix." Reeves froze. The voice continued. The co-pilot looked at him. "Did you hear that? Maintain current heading. Reduce speed by 5%. Do not descend." Reeves hesitated. "Phoenix, identify yourself." A pause, brief, deliberate. "You don't need my name. You need to stay alive." The radar screen suddenly changed. Two fast-moving signatures appeared behind them. F-22 Raptors. At a nearby airbase, engines screamed as the stealth fighters cut through the night sky. Their pilots had been airborne before the impact even happened. "Phoenix 1 visual confirmed," said the second pilot. "Civilian jet has damage on the left side. Looks bad." Phoenix 1's voice was steady. "Nothing we can't handle." Below them, the damaged jet limped through the air, unaware of how close it had come to destruction. Inside the passenger cabin, a young woman clutched her phone, recording a shaky video message. "If anyone finds this," she whispered, tears streaming down her face, "tell my parents I love them." Beside her, an elderly man closed his eyes and whispered a prayer. The child by the window stared out into the darkness and suddenly gasped. "Mom," he said, "there are planes out there." She didn't believe him. Until she saw them too. Two dark shapes streaked past, silent and fast, like shadows with wings. In the cockpit, Reeves felt a strange mix of fear and relief. "Phoenix," he said into the radio, "what hit us?" The answer came instantly. "Unidentified hostile contact. You were not the target." Reeves swallowed. "Then why us?" Another pause. "A wrong place, wrong time, Suddenly, Phoenix's voice sharpened. Heads up, you're not alone. Reeves watched the radar as multiple new contacts appeared, small, fast, and closing in. The co-pilot's voice cracked. Are those drones? Yes, Phoenix replied, and they don't care who you are. Outside, distant flashes lit the sky as the F-22s engaged. The jet shook again, not from impact this time, but from shockwaves tearing through the air. Passengers screamed as the cabin lights flickered. Hold her steady, Phoenix commanded. Whatever you do, do not deviate. Reeves gritted his teeth and obeyed. High above, Phoenix 1 locked onto the final hostile contact. Target acquired. A flash. Then silence. The radar cleared. For the first time since 3:17 a.m., the sky was quiet again. But the danger was not over. Phoenix's voice returned lower now. Civilian Flight 470, you're flying on borrowed time. Reeves stared ahead into the darkness. How long do we have? Long enough, Phoenix said, if you trust me. The jet continued forward, wounded but airborne, escorted by 2 invisible guardians. None of the passengers knew it yet. But the hardest part of the night was still ahead. Inside the cockpit, every instrument demanded attention. Captain Daniel Reeves could feel the aircraft fighting itself, metal stressed beyond design limits, one engine running hot, the other forced to carry more weight than it ever should. Fuel imbalance increasing, the co-pilot warned. Hydraulics are sluggish. Reeves nodded grimly. She's hurting. Phoenix's voice came through the radio again, steady as a heartbeat. You're doing fine. Maintain altitude. We're clearing a path. Reeves glanced at the radar. Path to where? A runway that doesn't exist on your maps. The co-pilot frowned. Military. Classified, Phoenix replied, but long enough, wide enough, and waiting. In the pass, Enga cabin. Fear had settled into something quieter, raw disbelief. Flight attendants moved carefully, checking belts, whispering reassurance they barely believed themselves. A young father held his daughter tightly, his chin resting on her hair. An elderly woman pressed a photo to her chest. The woman recording her goodbye message had stopped Phi. Ming. She just stared ahead now, tears drying on her cheeks. Then the captain's voice came over the intercom, controlled but honest. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain. We've experienced a serious mid-air incident. We are under military escort and preparing for an emergency landing. Please follow all crew instructions. A pause. And we're going to do everything possible to bring you home. For the first time since the impact, the cabin grew still. Above them, Phoenix 1 scanned the darkness. Phoenix 2 status? Low on fuel, but I'm not leaving, came the reply. Phoenix 1 allowed himself a brief breath. He had flown combat missions before, hot zones, hostile skies, but this was different. Below him was not a target or a battlefield. It was 187 lives. Suddenly, warning lights flared inside his cockpit. Multiple bogies, Phoenix 2 said. New contacts, fast. Phoenix 1's jaw tightened. They're back. In the civilian jet's cockpit, the radar bloomed again with hostile signals. The co-pilot's voice shook. Phoenix, they're surrounding us. Phoenix responded instantly. They want the jet to panic. Don't give them that. A sharp turn from Phoenix 1 drew enemy fire away from the civilian aircraft. Explosions flashed like distant lightning. Inside the cabin, the jet rattled violently. A child screamed. Someone shouted a prayer. A flight attendant fell to her knees, gripping a seat. Captain! The co-pilot yelled. Structural warning on the left wing. Reeves felt his heart slam. Phoenix, we can't take another hit. There was no hesitation in the answer. You won't. Phoenix 1 broke radio silence with a command only military pilots understood. Engaging close range, the sky erupted. Missiles streaked through the darkness, chasing targets invisible to civilian eyes. One drone exploded into a cloud of fire. Another veered straight toward the damaged jet. Phoenix 2 moved without orders. I've got it. His F-22 slammed into a hard roll, pushing the limits, and fired at point-blank range. The drone vanished, but warning alarms screamed in Phoenix 2's cockpit. I'm hit, he said calmly. Fuel leak, I'm losing pressure. Phoenix 1's hands clenched around the controls. Eject. Negative, Phoenix 2 replied. If I eject, they'll swing back to the jet. Below them, the civilian aircraft shuddered again. Phoenix 2 knew his choice. Escort until touchdown, he said quietly. Inside the jet, Reeves felt the controls soften. Too soft. We're losing hydraulic authority, the co-pilot whispered. Phoenix's voice dropped, serious now. Captain Reeves, from here on you fly by feel. Reeves swallowed. Understood. The clouds parted. Ahead, faint runway lights appeared, isolated, glowing in the darkness. I see it, Reeves breathed. Good, Phoenix said. That's home. The descent was brutal. The jet groaned as flaps extended unevenly. One wheel refused to lock. The runway rushed closer. In the cabin, passengers braced as instructed, heads down, hearts pounding. Speed's too high, the co-pilot shouted. Reeves pulled back gently, praying the wings would hold. Come on, come on! The wheels hit. Hard. The jet slammed onto the runway, bounced once, then again. Sparks screamed from the damaged side. Fire trucks raced alongside as brakes overheated. Finally, silence. The aircraft rolled to a stop. For a moment, no one moved. Then someone began to cry. Another laughed. Then the cabin erupted, sobs, prayers, shaking hands, gripping strangers. They were alive. Outside, emergency crews flooded the runway. Reeves slumped back in his seat, breath shaking. We made it, the co-pilot whispered. Reeves keyed the radio one last time. Phoenix, thank you. There was a pause. You did the hard part, Phoenix replied. High above, Phoenix 2's signal vanished from radar. Phoenix 2? Reeves asked urgently. No response. Phoenix 1's voice returned quieter now. Escort mission complete. The channel went dead. By sunrise, the passengers were safe. News outlets reported a mechanical emergency. No mention of drones, no mention of F-22s. The footage was confiscated, the radar logs sealed. Only the people on that flight knew the truth. And Captain Reeves would never forget the words spoken in the darkest moment of his career.